All right, you good to go?
I'm good to go.
Excellent. All right. So, Joe, where were you when we first? Oh, sorry. Let me start over. Joe, where were you before we started working together, and what were you struggling with in your training?
So before we got together, I thought I was in a good place, right? I was in the gym regularly, right? It started out for me at least as a hobby. It was kind of like I needed some space to blow some steam, mental health, kind of cut down on stress and stuff. And then as I got consistent, because that was making me feel good, mentally, I was like, all right, well, what can I do with it? And so, I tried charting my own program and, using online stuff and using apps to like, all right, I'm gonna track my reps. I'm gonna do a progressive overload, looking at influencers online and all that kind of stuff. Um, but I was still hitting a wall, so to speak, right? It was kind of like, all right, yeah, you're getting a little stronger, but like, you still don't understand the mechanics of competition. You don't know what you need to tweak to actually get better to see like what your real potential is, and you're struggling in certain areas. In some areas, I'm still struggling with a little bit, but your coaching is helping, right? So like deadlifts, for example, was one. I was actually struggling on my bench too, though my bench was strong. Like I was running into problems with my shoulders, sometimes my elbows. So I'm like using slingshots and wraps and all this other stuff, just to try to ego lift and get 350, 330, all that stuff off the ground. Um, and so,
Yeah, your sound cut out. There we go.
all right, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay, yeah, that was wild. Like the audio just like cut out, and I put my phone. So I was using my phone for some reason, and I'm using. I think I changed it over to my laptop mic or whatever.
Mhm.
But it just like it cut out. So my bad.
All good,
Um,
dude.
no, but what I was saying was, I start hitting kind of these plateaus in areas that like I wanted to get better at. I also wanted to compete. And that's something I don't know if you remember years ago. You and I talked about when you first started getting into competing. I was like, "Oh man, that's cool. Like I would love to do that one day." He's like, "Yeah, man, you should try it. You should try it." And so in the back of my mind, as I'm like consistently in the gym now, and like I'm realizing that I'm strong or I have the potential to be strong, that like all right, what do I do to actually become somebody that can compete? And so I think the next logical step is like, all right, well, talk to somebody who's done it before, right? And then work with them, right? So that's where I was before we got together. Like I was just kind of in this limbo space of not knowing what to do to compete, not knowing all the right things to help me get stronger safely, without having to deal with injuries and other things. So I feel like that's where I was.
Cool, man. So, what made you want to reach out for coach instead of going at it alone?
So I think the big thing is uh, I do realize that like going alone, we live in an information age, man. Like you can look anything up, right? You can read anything. There's no shortage of content out there. You can look at videos on form and all this other stuff, and you could try to piece it together yourself. I got guys that I work with in the gym. They're doing that. They're using powerlifting apps and stuff like that, and they're following programs, and maybe they're getting a little better, maybe not. I don't know. But I feel like any any person who wants to first of all compete, you need a coach. Is bottom line. You need a coach, right? Like if you think about any athlete that goes out and does any sport with some semblance of doing it well and doing the best that they can do, and it's not even so much that I think I'm gonna go into a competition and lift all the heaviest weights and be number one and all of a sudden be like my man Swole, that's like out there winning world championships and stuff, man. Like that's not the mentality, but I don't want to leave something on the table and go into a competition and feel like, man, what I probably could have did better, or did I really prepare myself to do the best I could in that competition? So I felt like having a coach was the next logical step to prepare myself to actually be in a position to compete. I also felt like having a coach, even if I didn't go to the level of competing, having a coach would help me learn how to do things the right way, right? Like I think a lot of times when you get in the gym and you start hanging out with people and you're listening to people, a lot of guys ego lift. Like every week, I think you made a video about this. Every week, people are maxing out. It's like, oh, all right, it's max day. It's max day, and every week you got 400 pounds on your chest, and it's like, I don't know if you're getting stronger. I don't know if that's smart. Like, there's just so much in the
Mm-hmm.
psychology of it all too, right? So it's like, here we go. I'm back. Yeah, it's something. I have my phone on. Do not.
You cut out again.
All right, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on this thing. If nothing else, right? It's all about doing things the right way, doing it safely, and having somebody guide you through something, right? Because like powerlifting, this ain't aerobics or something, right? Like, at some point you're gonna have heavier weights. You're gonna be working with things. And so you do want to do it in a way that's safe. You want to do it in a way that makes sure that you understand the mechanics of it. And then of course there's the other piece of it as far as like trying to get better, trying to get stronger, chart a program. And I didn't have to think as much. So that's the other thing with the online stuff. Like you're your own coach, so to speak. Yeah, you got a tool in an online program. It's going to tell you do this with exercise, think about this percentage and stuff. But when I was tracking my stuff on my own, and I tracked it, I used the apps, right? I saw progressive overloads. I would download the spreadsheets, make charts and all that other stuff. But I was doing so much thinking, and I would hit a wall where it was like, all right, I honestly don't know what to do next, even though it was like, all right, do I go up, 5 pounds, or do I do a extra set with another, set of reps to see if that's a helpful progressive overload? And that's something small if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, just knowing what to do was a big part of like why I wanted to coach, at least to get me to this next step as far as competing and just, getting better in general with the sport of powerlifting.
Awesome. Before starting, did you have any hesitations about coaching, and what made you decide to move forward anyway?
Um, I had some hesitations, right? Because, the first thought was kind of like, oh, I could probably, this is a hobby, first of all, right? Like this, I'm not making money from this. In fact, I'm spending money for this. But, like, it's a hobby, right? But, like, when you do something and you want to do it well and you love it and you're interested in it, right? And it gives you that sense of fulfillment and joy that you want out of it, you got to invest in it. And so, it must be something on my laptop. Let me just turn something off.
No, do you think, bro?
This thing is tripping. All right, let's see if that helps. Um, so you want to invest in that type of thing, right? Just so that you can get the full sense of fulfillment out of it. And I felt like where I wanted to be, I wanted to compete. So in my mind, once I got over the hurdle of, all right, I want to be stronger, not even hurdle, but like the idea of like, oh, I'm just in it to be stronger. Let me see how strong I can get. You know, I felt like to keep me going to the gym, because I started, and still go really for my mental health, right? To like make sure that I'm straight, good for my family and all these other things. Um, but sometimes that's not always enough motivation to be in there, right? And so like I felt like doing something extra, like getting to the point where I wanted to compete, was key to me staying in there for my own good, right? And so then it's like, all right, I don't want to go into a competition. I know nothing about it, right? I could YouTube it, I could do all this other stuff, but like I know nothing about it. So like getting a coach was like the next logical step. It was like you can't walk into something unprepared and not, you know, be able to do it well or get turned off from it because it's like, oh, well, this is not what I thought it was and stuff. And it's really because you did it wrong. You should have had a coach. So that was kind of like the thing. And so like, yeah, hesitant, financially it was hesitant, right? Because it was like, all right, I'm making an investment. Am I going to get the most out of my investment? Um, can I afford it? All these different things. But like when you want to do something, first of all, people want to spend money on what they want to spend it on, right? So if it wasn't this, it was going to be shoes, championship belt. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be things, right? You're going to spend money. So what's important to you? What are your goals? What do you want to do? All those kind of things. And then like get over that hurdle mentally of like, oh man, whatever, right? Because it's not forever. I don't know if you're gonna be coaching forever. I mean, hopefully, maybe that's
Hope
your
so.
strategy or whatever, right? I don't know if I'm gonna be able to afford it forever, but in this moment, in this time, it's a priority for me. It's something my family got on board with me too, and so I was able to get over even that financial hurdle mentally, right? And I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I like what you said. Like you don't know whether what the future holds, like whether you're going to be able to afford it. But right now, you were able to make something happen. You got your family on board, and you decided to make that investment within yourself. And so I think that's a good thing for like everyone, right? It's, people's like, I don't know what I can do, but like, can you make something happen now? Like in the future, sure, like you may or may not, but do you want to look back on your life and say, oh man, that was an opportunity and I didn't take it, and now I have to. Then you got to live with that regret for the rest of your life. So since we've been working together, what progress have you seen in your lifts, your confidence, and your overall training?
Since we've been working together, feel like things have been skyrocketing. So, definitely confidence in lifts, right? You coached me through, and I'll start with my weakest lift, which is the deadlift right now. You've coached me through the mental aspect of it, like, hey man, don't be down on yourself too much. Here's what you need to tweak. Try this, try that, right? So you're working with me, and so I feel like it's progressively getting better. I would never get that without having a coach, right? It would kind of be like, all right, I'm lifting, but I'm not going anywhere. I'll get frustrated with it, come up with excuses. Oh, the deadlift is not good for the back, and man, I'm just gonna stop doing all that, all that kind of stuff, right? Instead of getting a coach, getting the help that you need, and getting the motivation that you need. So where I started, I mean, I felt like I was pretty strong, but with your coaching, you're helping me unlock like true potential, right? Uh, for example, the bench. I think you posted something about I was starting at 315. I think I was a little higher than 315, but we might have started there. But even still, right? I know for a fact, competition day, I'm I'm probably looking at 350 or above.
Yes,
No.
sir.
And so squat was the same thing, right? Now squat, I legit was like 405 was my max, and to me that was a shaky max. It was like I remember back, 4 or 5 months ago trying to do 405, and it was like I would go down and I wouldn't even get competition depth, right? It was like I would get down and like I'd be at a 90-degree angle, and the guys in the gym, oh, that's all you need is 90 degrees. It's like, dog, I'm trying to compete. That ain't gonna cut it. But I learned that from you, right? So it's like now, I don't know. I only want to throw a number out there for the squat, but I think we both know that's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
What's your max now for
so
squat?
what's my max now for squat?
Yeah.
We don't know yet. I mean,
Like,
like
like this what this week you hit what 425 for two.
425, and I thought I did a double, but maybe it was a single. I gotta
Oh no, it was a
look at the
single. It
video.
was I think it might have been I can't remember what it was, but you know, anyway, like 425. And before that, like a couple weeks ago, you did 405 for 5 reps, and that wasn't even like a shaky five. Like it was all to depth, and you had plenty in the tank. You probably could do like
Yeah,
7 or 8, which is
yeah,
crazy to be honest with you. I'm like, oh, we're cooking
yeah,
up something now for this meet.
yeah. So I mean, and like I said, you coaching me through the deadlift, and so I feel like the competition. Um, whereas like if I didn't have your coaching, if I wasn't with a coach, I probably would have been somewhere floating around 1,000 pounds total. I don't know what that is in kilos, but I'll figure it out by competition day because I know I got to
Yeah.
do it in kilos.
No,
But
no,
I
I'll
was,
have
I
I'll
was
have all that lined up for you. You ain't got to worry about anything.
right. I would be floating somewhere below that, right? Like I'd hit 1,000 pounds, but now I'm looking at it. I'm like, maybe I'm in the 1,200 club. You know what I mean, or somewhere around that. And this is all for the first competition. It was funny. You told me, man, we haven't even been training for strength yet, and I was like, what? What are you talking about? We haven't been training for strength. So I'm like, what's going to happen when we do train for strength? You know what I mean? So it, stock is up. Let's just put it that way. Before
Stop.
you, stock was but with you, stock is up, baby.
Yes, sir. Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Not today's price.
What's the biggest change that you've seen in yourself since starting?
Um, and myself, I I think the mental aspect of turning on being a competitor and knowing that I'm training for something. Um, I'm paying attention to details when it comes to my lifts. I'm looking at the footage even before I send it to you, right? And just thinking about things that you've told me and trying to review it as an athlete to see like, all right, well, what am I doing? What can I do differently? Like, what am I doing that would help me get better? All those kind of things. Uh, that's for sure, right? Like, confident that I can do the heavier weights safely and feel like, hey, I got 400 on my back. I'm not gonna die. I got 315 and I'm bringing it down for a pause rep and it's gonna come off of my chest. I'm not gonna die.
We
There we
got
go. Sorry about that. I got to look this up and see I keep like that. But it's confident knowing I'm in position to do the right thing. In the
You're kind of going in and
in
out too.
is it?
Yeah, it's
Hey,
like it's like in and out, in and out, in and out.
I'm doing right now. All right, and careful on the bad light and close behind the thing. My audio is in and out still or
It's still like in and out.
you can't see the mic. All right. Uh, better sound.
Nah, it's still the same.
Let me.
There we go. Perfect.
Okay, we're back.
We back.
Okay. All right. Cool. Um. So where was I? So confidence, right? Just having a higher sense of confidence in what I'm doing, and discipline. In discipline. So following the program that you give really helps with not giving in to like the desire to ego lift, or you in the gym, you got gym bros, right? And so like you're talking to people, maybe you get in between sets with people and stuff, they spot you, and so they're like, man, why you playing around with that baby weight, man? You could do this or that, right? And it's kind of like, nah, man, I got a coach, I'm on a program, and it's kept me healthy. You know what I mean? I feel no shoulder discomfort. I don't feel problems with my elbows. I don't feel like I need to, wrap everything up before I try a certain lift. Even when I go, and sneak and do like a little PR or test run or something like that, I have confidence that, oh, I know I'm not going to get hurt because I've been building consistent strength to get up to that point where I feel comfortable with that weight. And I'm like, all right, I can do this and I don't have to worry about tweaking a shoulder or something like that, right? So, I mean, that's confidence, discipline, and structure, I think, are like the biggest things that you gain from coaching.
Excellent. And one thing I'm really happy to hear is that you're not in pain. A lot of people with powerlifting, like, oh, you lift all this heavy weight, like you're going to be in pain, your back's going to hurt, oh, everything's going to hurt. But you were in pain before, and now that you have a structured plan that's like trying to build you up slowly over time, now you're out of pain, which is incredible.
Yeah,
And I love to hear when people are out of
yeah,
pain, because it's not about who lifts the strongest, it's about who can lift the longest.
yep,
The longer you're not injured and you're not hurting, the longer you can
for
progress.
sure.
That's awesome. What has it been like having me as your coach?
Well, it's been great, man. I mean, one, you're a pretty cool guy. Uh,
Oh, thank you.
So easy to talk to, easy to work with. I appreciate your attention to detail, your encouragement, right? And then feedback. Like giving structured feedback, pointing me to the content that you created that kind of helps coach in certain areas, to help me get better, right? Like I didn't necessarily get into this to have a cheerleader. I did want constructive feedback so that I could get better, and I think you've been able to balance both of those things. Like, it's like, all right, hey man, you're crushing it here. Here's what you need to work with. I mean, I just looked at the loom video you sent the other day, and it's like, all right, you still kind of regressing back to where the bar is too far from you for your deadlift. So like, here's a video. Look at this. Think about it. You're willing to do personalized videos too, so you'll take your time and say, hey, this is what I was talking about, right? And that's pretty good because in reality, and one of the things we talked about when we first started was like, will I ever get a chance to work out with you? And it was like, probably not because of schedules and stuff like that. And at first I was like, oh man, but I really don't need you to work out with me because you take personalized time to create videos, other content, and to pay attention to the sessions that I send you, right? And so it's almost like you're right there. And so I get it. I understand now, right? And so I think those are probably the biggest things, like the encouragement and still the accountability feedback loop that you have.
Awesome, dude. Thank you for saying all those nice things, dude. I try my best to serve my athletes as much as I can, because I'm just as invested in your as your progress as you are. And sometimes I get more excited about your progress than I do about my own progress. It's like I hit a PR. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, cool, cool. Let's keep going. You hit one. I'm like, yeah, let's go. I be getting hype. I be in my house and Candace like, why are you yelling? I'm like, look at this. She's like, oh
Right.
wow. So, last question: if someone's on the fence about coaching, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, it's something my great grandmother used to say to me a long time ago. Pistol, get off the pot. You know, like, like
You got the same grandmother?
right. Like, if you're on the fence about it, you it must mean that you are in a space where you realize you need something, right? And so if you know you need something, just go ahead and do it. It's not forever, right? It is a commitment, right? Not necessarily to air financials, but you as a business person have a certain model that you need to follow to kind of do things to make it make sense for you, right? And so you are going to, for the benefit of the athlete and you as the coach, you're going to lock in for a certain period of time, but it's not forever. So if you lock in for 6 months, 3 months, whatever your plan is, based on what y'all agree to, just know that that's a time for you to maximize your investment. You're going to put the money down, make the most of it, right? Don't be on the fence about it or anything like that. Either you're going to commit to it or you're not. But just know that if you don't, you might not reach your full potential. And if you're okay with that, then that's fine. That's how you roll. But if you want to reach your full potential, if you want to feel like you're doing something the right way, that you're doing it safely, that you're getting better and smarter at it, then lock in, get off the fence, and go ahead and get you a coach. And then you'll see a world of difference, and you'll learn a lot to take with you. And so yeah, I would say get off the fence, go ahead and do it, and reap the benefits of it.
Yes, sir. So I know I said that was the last question, but I forgot I had an extra question for something you said before. Um, so you see your progress that you're doing now with a coach, and you see the progress of your folks in the gym who like have apps or YouTube or training off of vibes. What's the difference between your progress in these last 2.5 months and their progress in the same amount of time?
Um, I feel like you're unlocking the potential of me as an athlete, and I don't think an app is going to do that for a person. Sorry. Um, an app can give you a program. It can give you kind of measurable things that you can work towards, right? Formulas to say, all right, well, if you did this week, you can go up, maybe 2.5 pounds here, and blah blah blah, right? But I don't think it unlocks your potential as an athlete. Coaching is also psychological, right? If it was all about just a plan and you sent me a workout every week and it's like, okay, Joe, you're going to do blah, 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 right? Then, yeah, app will cut it for you, right? Unlocking the potential as an athlete, knowing that you have somebody to give you feedback that kind of pushes you to like go to the next level. They don't have that. And so are they making progress? I'm sure they are. I talked to a guy the other day. He was like, yeah, I'm moving up in weight a little bit now, right? And it's like, okay, hey man, that's good, bro. That's good. And he's like, what you doing? Well, here's what my coach got me doing. And here's, and so then I can kind of lay out a whole thing and I can see him looking, a little blank like, dang, I should have that. But I'm going to keep going with my app, right? And it's like, it's all good. I don't knock him. He's in there. He's working, right? We all putting in the work. I just want to get a little bit more out of my work.
Yes, sir. Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for meeting with me and allowing me to do this interview with you. I really appreciate everything you said.
Yeah, man, absolutely, absolutely. No, I appreciate being a part of it, man. This has been fun, just to kind of like get in here, do all this stuff. I had to move all my stuff from my studio out the way for like the custom. So like I'm still working on the shoe,
Oh,
and
snap.
so I'm up here in between stuff painting,
Got
and so it's about,
it.
yeah. So
Hey, I'm gonna stop recording now.